Good weapon matchups are always a pleasant thing in Monster Hunter, especially if it's your favourite weapon. There's something magical about your favourite moveset to use shining against a monster that you really love, whether it's perfectly timing greatsword charges on Rajang or completely no-selling a Glavenus with Lance. It's just a damn good feeling. This is going to be part of what we take a look at today, with our test subject being the latest Zenith to burst out of the ice, that also so happens to have an incredible Achilles heel in one of the 14 weapons. Here, we take a look at Zenith Giaorugu. Giao and its relative Abio I always saw as a way for Frontier to cash in on the new species that arrived with the 3rd generation and get their own new sparkly Brute Wyvern toy. It could roll and chin smash like Uragan, it could breathe element and bite like Deviljho, and they were even doing fancy tail slashes before Glavenus arrived on the scene too. And it's that tail that's the main focus here. The rest of the design of the Zenith compared to the base really goes all in on the signature body part. You'll see a slightly larger head crest and dorsal spikes, yes, but what we're looking at is how the typical blade of the base species has warped and grown into this wicked anchor shape of a tail. The triangular shape turns this appendage into a forceful, aggressive club, and you're basically going to be dealing with nothing but tail swipes for the significant attacks. Yes, you'll see some bites and a pretty cool ice breath move, but they're small potatoes compared to the tail. This tail gives you a new main Zenith affliction to deal with in Zenith Tremor. With every slam that comes from the tail, a wide aura of tremor will burst out to catch you at distances you think you may not be hit by. So it goes without saying that you should be dodging even if you're a length away from the thing, as you'll probably be caught. In this fight, one hit can be a death sentence, and not for the normal reasons that you might think. You see, Abio and Giao were big pioneers of the ability to juggle hunters. Traditionally, you get hit by an attack and go flying, then scrub yourself off and jump back in. Not with these brutes. Zenith Giao can throw you up directly into position for a follow-up hit or two, and this is especially clear with this classic tail combo, throwing you into perfect position to get smacked by an explosion of ice. This adds an extra level of threat to the fight as you're going to be dealing with multiple hit combos, and really need to learn the timings for every single one. You'll be introduced gradually to these attacks throughout the level, but for now we'll start with the building blocks you'll see at G rank 200. First is the tail coating mechanic. After a slow wind up, the Zenith slams its tail into the ice, covering it entirely. This allows Giao to augment a few attacks with further reach, but more importantly, it can be broken. Every single time the ice is shattered, the Zenith will fall over, meaning you'll get the chance to stop some annoying attacks dead in their tracks. Couple that with an apocalyptically high fire weakness of 50, you've got a very easy topple right there. We'll be looking at the 2 tail swipes in a moment, but can you remember what we spoke about at the start of the video? Anything matching up for you yet? The 2 tail swipes. They're held for a while before being released. The first involves the tail being held low to the ground whilst glowing with ice. The wind up on this attack is huge, and with the aforementioned tail stagger, you really shouldn't be afraid to go all in whilst Giao lets it cook. If you don't get the stagger out of it, you have to be ready to evade out the moment you see any movement, as the spin can come out deceptively fast, and an explosion will soon be to follow which will catch anyone who gets knocked by the first spin. The second spin involves Giao holding up the tail high for much less time. The spin that comes out of this has no real follow-up, you'll just have to be aware of the shorter timing here. Finally, the Ice Dome. Giao will hold his head up high and begin taking in the freezing cold air around him. You'll see a ring of ice spread out from beneath it to show the area of the next move. After a decent amount of time, the ice is expelled and anyone that's within the dome will have their stamina drained until empty, at which point their health will go down at the same rate. That is to say, fucking light speed. Here's where the tail stagger works immensely well, as you've got ample time to smack Giao out of the wind-up before the nukes go off. However, Zenith tremors involve the ground shaking. The Ice Dome drains stamina. There's a correlation here. Anyways, on to G rank 400, where we see significantly less wind-up for the double tail spin and this slow wind-up ice explosion introduced. You really only have to pay attention to when Giao's head reaches 12 o'clock for the explosion to time your evade. And typically for Z600 we see no changes at all aside from stats. Now I'd like you to pause the video and give me a guess on what weapon do you think hard counters this combination. Depending on your answer, you're either a moron or a genius, you decide, but all you gotta do is bring yourself a set of these. The Tonfa are an absurdly good counter against Giao, as the ability to stay in the air with continuous punches and evades allows you to not only skip the Zenith Tremor, but by chaining the EX evades, that is iframes in the air, you can recover stamina during the invincibility frames, meaning you never have to worry about your HP taking a hit during the ice dome. Just spin for your life and you won't have to run. On top of this, being a fast hitting weapon, Fire Tonfa can be an absurdly good option for busting the ice tail quickly. It's a matchup that gels like bringing Pierce to a Gravios, or Element to Alatreon. Anyways, that's my recommendation for the fight. Bring the fight sticks. Finally, we come around to G rank 800, we get this evil combination of spins and tap dancing, and your tail will actually be these shuffling feet, before a spin into a slam. It's going to be another one of those attacks that come out so fast you need to be prepared for it at all times. The slight delay between the spin and the slam will also be enough to prevent you from roll mashing your way through, so you'll have to be very proactive in how you press your inputs. And remember that there will be another ice burst immediately after the slam. It's a real pig's ear of an attack, I'll be honest. You've got to be completely on your A game to dodge through all the hits, and you may have an easier time on something that can guard and evade in tandem. But if all else fails, there's always evading back and getting the hell out of there to avoid the follow-ups. With all that info, however, if you stay the course and manage to break the tail, you'll be handsomely rewarded. With the tail chipped and vulnerable, any slam attack will result in Giao staggering itself out of pain, meaning any combos or attacks involving this part won't send you into a one-way juggle ride to the base camp. You essentially grant the thing with the ability to stub its own toe for the rest of the fight, and that's bloody brilliant. In conclusion, Zenith Giao was a rough customer and could catch you in the mouth if you let your guard down for a second. It's also, again, one of the more tame Zeniths in terms of both design and flashy attacks, but just goes to show that the clown shoes won't be needed for the thing to kick your ass into a triangle. Strong contender for the first Brute Wyvern Zenith. I wonder how the rest of it will go. Thanks for watching. This concludes the Arctic report of all the Zeniths. We're seeing some crazy stuff poke out of the woodwork, and it's going to get wilder from here. The next report will be a combination that I'm calling the Wetlands report. This will be covering the more temperate regions, meaning the forest and swamps. Whether they're lurking beneath the marshlands or sleeping soundly among trees, we'll be having a nice little investigation. Hope to see you there. Cera out.